Well, hello, Spooky. Hello, Speedy. How you doing? Yep. We figured we'd do a little walkabout and talk about. How y'all doing? Speedy, where's your collar? What have you done? You've lost your collar again. Yeah. Now you probably got fleas. Well, that's your problem. Right, Spooky? You need to chat with her. Well, as you can see as we come out on the front porch, something is obviously missing that we showed you before. We had a little fall decoration. It wasn't much. A couple of pumpkins we grew and a butternut squash. Of course, that's missing. But we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video, because it gets back to one of those words that I've brought up many times, something that has now vanished from the American landscape. And if you watch the channel and the videos, you'll know what that word is. But it's fall time now. The leaves are falling, covering the ground. The leaves are changing. Yeah, you can see that right here. Looking at the blueberries. The leaves are changing, they're dropping. Yeah, not every year. I mean, most years, the blueberries have kept their leaves. Not this year. And of course, there's reasons for that. Yes, there are. And I got my two compadres with me. You know, Spooky, always. And Speedy, she's got rather personable of late. Old Blackie sitting here in the drive. That's what I'm driving currently, because the focus is still down. And my other truck is still missing on one cylinder. Such is life. But as long as we got one running, it's a good thing. So hey there, friends and family. I know it's been a while since we last spoke to you, and you'll have to pardon me for that. But, you know, I've had some issues. It's just not about health issues and feeling right. You know, it's about those issues where sometimes life takes a precedent over YouTube. And I'll be honest, I haven't really felt like getting out the camera and getting on it. I've struggled this last month to get over a few things, and I finally think I'm over the horizon. At least that's what I am thinking. Yeah, it wasn't because of my doctors. It was more because of talking with very close friends. And I'll just leave it at that. Because the fact that I'm here right now is the fact that I am doing better. And we're going to get back into a somewhat normal routine as we can, doing videos. Got some cooking videos coming up. Oh yeah. And we're probably going to do some in-depth deep dives that I hope, even though they don't reach very far, make you a little bit reassured that you're not going to starve and die anytime soon. But while we're out here, and I got two of my kitty crew with me, not sure where Cleo's at. She's probably napping. It's midday. And you know Mr. Gray. Yep. He's here somewhere too. Let's take a look at what little bit we got, and we'll talk about it as we go. Okay? Come on, guys. Let's take a walk. So as y'all know, I planted this tire planter many weeks back. And, you know, if you didn't know it had been planted about 4 or 5 weeks back, you wouldn't think nothing about it. It all looks sort of kind of fine now. But in reality, if you look back at my last walkabout, you'll see it hasn't grown much. And why? Well, the drought here in the southeast has continued. Yep, over the month of October, I think we got a total of 1.1 inches of rain. That came in one time early in October, 3/10. It didn't even wet the ground under the trees. We had another event where I think we got another 3/10. Here again, the same thing. Wet the grass, wet the plants. But you dig down like in these beds or the ground, it wouldn't have penetrated more than an inch or two. And then here 2 days ago, we had a whole whopping 8/10. Yeah. Came out, dug down, may have made penetration about 2 inches. So what's that meant for old Mr. Tom? Well, we got to keep toting water. And that's the way it's been ever since May of this year. A lot of effort, and I might say a lot of expense, because municipal water here in my little small town ain't cheap. And in all truth, for what I've been getting and the amount of cost, effort, and time, it's been a losing proposition, to say the least. But you know what? I'm a hard-headed person, and I'm persistent. I wasn't going to let it beat me. And so far, it hasn't. But it hasn't been. Because even on my worst days, I still got to drag myself up, drag myself out, and do the watering. Once and twice a day. Because, you know, we were supposed to have cooler temperatures. And we were there for a while. Down in the lower 70s in the day. And we even got down to the low 30s at night. It didn't last long. About a week. Now we're up in the high 70s to low 80s. The mid to high 50s at night. But the kale's looking fine, even though it's just barely been surviving. The cabbage hasn't done much. It's been growing, albeit very slow. As you can see over here, we got 5 cabbage plants, and there to the south, we got some Swiss chard. Now I've grown Swiss chard off and on most of my life, and that's been in for like say probably 6 weeks or more. And that's the smallest Swiss chard I've ever had. That stuff should be a foot and a half, 2 foot high. It's not a lack of fertilizer, it's just a lack of water. It's drought stress. And you can water. And yeah, could I constantly keep the ground moist? I could. But what I've been doing is, because of cost, been trying to keep it down to once a day. And you might wonder why. Well, simple fact of the matter is, gets back to that cost. Oh, I have carried and I have paid for anywhere from 2,000 gallons or more per month. Yeah, at about 14 cents a gallon. And that don't seem like a whole lot, but then you got to understand, okay, what do you get for your money? We still got one butternut squash still surviving. I don't know how, but it is, and man, this old butternut squash, you know, I just decided I wasn't going to let it die on my account. And it actually had several butternut squash on it, but many of them just shriveled up and died. This one here, because of the rain we got a couple days back, decide to split. And there's another one up here somewhere that also yellowed from lack of pollination. So yeah, I asked myself, why do I even continue? Here again, it gets back to perseverance, determination. You know? But there are some pluses, along with the minuses. Just like up here in the old raised bed, we got our black cherry tomato. Oh yeah, it's still getting blossoms, still setting fruit. Got plenty of fruit in there. But something, because of the drought stress, yep, it starts dropping tomatoes, just like you'll see up in there. Of course, they don't go to waste. You'll see some right here, pile of them. Right there. Yep. The possum and groundhog will come by and they'll partake of them. Won't they, spooky? The pepper plants, can't say enough good. You can just see all the blossoms right there. You can see the peppers. Yeah. Here you can see the peppers. Of course, all three of these are bad because of stink bug damage. Yep. Yeah. But there's still many more, as you can see, that should mature before a killing frost comes. And those are two really nice ones. You might have saw the water dripping off them, because yep, I did the midday watering. And here again, there's more buds, more peppers forming. Yeah, and I could cover these, and I could grow them out through the months to come into next year. But I'm not gonna do it. Gets back to all that cost, effort, and time. You know, even when you grow a nice one, the stink bugs get you. And that one just fell off. There you go. There's a couple of nice ones there. But there's plenty more, and we've had a pile of them for 6 plants. Probably the best year I ever had with peppers, come to think about it. What do you think, Spooky? And we got a couple of gypsy peppers there. One's ripened up. But here again, you can see down in there how the cherry tomatoes drop. And I will go ahead and tell you that part of that's my fault. You can see many more down through here if you pay close attention. Part of it was, during the course of the last couple of weeks, I was really struggling with whatever's been bothering me. And I just didn't have it in me to get out and water for about 3 to 4 days. Yep. When I finally did, I didn't know what I'd see. And I thought, well, it is what it is. Life will go on without the little bit I have in the gardens. I mean, mostly I plant a little just for my own, hobby gardening, entertainment, educational purposes for all of you. It's not like I, expect to live off what I plant. You know, I planted peas back in, oh, what was it, end of September, because things were supposed to get cooler. Rains were supposed to return. Yep, that gets back to that didn't happen. Temperatures shot back up in the high 80s, low 90s, and the drought persisted. And many of them have survived somewhat, though they have struggled. Because green peas, you know, if you've never grown green peas and had them, oh, they are the sweetest and most yummy grown at home. Yep, they even beat frozen at your local market. And I love them, but they're extremely hard to grow in the deep south. The okra, as you can see, is totally done. Yeah, I only ever had 4 plants, which I might say that was just about enough. I really probably needed 6 to 8. But I've got okra in the freezer. It's not like I eat it every day. And I've got a few pods there maturing, because I do that every year to ensure my seed stock. Because saving okra seeds is about as easy as it gets. Let them dry on the plant until they're about to split. Bring them on in. You don't need to husk them. Just leave them whole. Throw them in a bag and they'll be just fine for years to come. This other pea planting that the possums, the groundhogs, or whatever dug up and decimated. Some of the plants have survived, but as you can see, it's looking pretty sad. Yeah, I could replant it, but you know what? We don't have rain expected for another 10 days. And temperatures are supposed to get back up in the low to mid 80s. Yeah, even this late in November. That gets back to why I fight it. The crepe myrtle's lost about all of its leaves. It turned color. You know, it'll get like an auburn red or a fiery red. Then they turn yellow and then they fall. Of course, they were falling because of the drought stress far before they turned. There's some left, but not many. Up here at the old beanpole planting, where I had my tomatoes, my celebrity, plenty of tomatoes, as you can see. Red ones, plenty of green ones. I don't know how many's here. There's a passel of them, as we'd say in the South. I'll have to pick these later this evening or in the early morning hours. I'll probably water them some, not a lot, because I don't want them to split. And I may go ahead and hold off and pick them in the morning. But, you know, I'll probably get a dozen red ones. And if I wanted to make up some green tomatoes, you know, them fried, I could do that too. At least I know out to November the 10th, we don't have no temperatures near freezing. Lowest we're going to see is mid 50s. And that's in the early morning hours. Now, because of the drought, and you know, you can water once a day, twice a day. And the severe heat, and you're spot watering. And if you look at different plants and see how deep their roots go and how far they reach out, you'll see what I mean. Spot watering is a nowhere as near as a 1-inch rainfall would be. So pretty much, that's about all we got going on. I was going to do a lot more this fall. I'd actually planned on it. But since the drought decided to persist, and looking back at all the time, the cost, the effort, I just said, it doesn't make much sense. That cherry basket tomato, that's pretty darn flavorful. It's not really acidic. It's got a touch, but it's got a sweetness too. So I got to thank Chris for sending me those seeds. And it's still getting some blossoms. Still got some more coming on, as you can see. Now there'll be years where we don't get a killing frost till sometimes in December, sometimes after Christmas. What will happen this year? Well, if you listen to the talking heads all up to this point, because that's another reason I ain't been on YouTube, I just need to disconnect, because you cannot abate it. You know, I do a lot of my own research because I'm a curious kind of guy and an engineer. And in doing so, it's a self-inflicted thing. Because of my viewing preferences, that's what comes up on my feed. And that's something you need to know. Whether it's the things that pop up on your YouTube recommendations or what have you, even to the ads. That's specific to you, based on what you watch, what you look into, and where you go. And that's a fact. Old Mr. Tom don't have nothing to say over what YouTube ads you'll see on my videos. No. In fact, I review every video before I put it out. And I check the number of ads and the content. But like I've learned, what I see and what you see can be totally different. Right, Speedy? She's looking for something. You know, the sacred bamboo berries have all turned red. And they'll feed the birds throughout the winter. Now we can't eat them, but the birds surely can. Most people don't know this is actually a type of bamboo, and I didn't know it for years, until years here of late. And you'll find this on older homesteads and home places all throughout the South. But it is an important food source for the birds, along with holly. The fig bush, well, it's ending up its season. When it got really, really chilly, you know, there's a ripe fig, but you can see there's the problem. If I would have come out yesterday and seen it, it'd probably been fine. But now, my feathered friends have beat me to it. Still got one here. You know, I don't mind. Life is not going to be impacted because I don't have figs. It gets back to what I say often, especially about many things. There have been way more times in my life that I haven't had something than when I did. And that gets back to the crazy food prices we've had, which are really impacting way more when I look at it in the processed foods than in the basic staples. Now granted, they've all risen too. But you know what I saw? I saw produce overall was probably the least impacted over all the rest. You know, meats, processed foods, you know, the box foods, the canned foods. Yep. And it makes sense. They take the most cost, effort, time, and energy to produce. I mean, with produce, even though it's up there too, don't get me wrong, it hasn't risen at the same percentage. And what you're looking at was one of my pumpkins. And you can see it's broken half here. This is one of the two. I don't know where the other one is, and I don't know where they took the butternut squash. But on Halloween night, I came out, checked things at 7 o'clock. It just turned dark. I turned on the porch light. I kept the door open just in case somebody came by for Halloween. I never heard nobody knock. Never not a sign of anybody here. I guess it was around 10 I closed the door and locked it. I didn't look out. I'm thinking if I had, I would have already seen what it came to be. Well, somebody came by and decided my little holiday fall festival decorations wasn't to be. And they broke them up. Well, they took at least two of them because I couldn't find them anywhere driving around. This one, they just threw against the tree and broke in half. Now, was it young people, teens, or young adults? I don't know. This gets back to one word that I've talked about for several years that is sorely lacking, not only in America, but most of Western civilization. Now, if you get in undeveloped countries, they still have it. And that's respect. Respect for one's property. Respect for one's, house, possessions, vehicles. And this isn't a new thing. I mean, back when I was a teenager, there were kids that would go out and egg cars, smash mailboxes, and pumpkin decorations. Not a lot, but there were some. Well, there's still some. And it's sad, because pretty much, other than my YouTube videos, I don't interact with a lot of people. I haven't since what happened in 2022 for my own reasons. I limit it. People want to come by and visit, and I said, well, you can pull up at the road. I'll chat with you. But coming in the house or getting close to me, I'm still just not up to that. And you can say I'm afraid of living or I'm afraid of dying. I really don't care. You see, that's the freedom of choice. And the funny thing about here, especially in America, how divided we are, one person's desire for freedom of choice, if it differs from another, you're asking for it. Yeah, they will assault you, attack you, and come down on you all the time, saying they should have the freedom of choice, freedom of speech, for their speech. For yours, maybe not so much. Yeah, and that's another problem. And when you boil it all down, if you put it all in a pot, boil it down to just what it is, it's respect. And that's all it is. We make it way too complicated now. And if we could somehow find that one word, things would get a whole lot better in life. Not only in the U.S., but all around in the world. Think about it. If Russia had respected Ukraine, would they be at war? Think about that. Just one word. I think not. But they didn't. The same is true with many other conflicts that have come before, are currently going on, and will come again. Well, it's that time again. My mail person has run. Since I wasn't looking that way, I really don't know if it was my lady mail carrier or my gentleman. I have both, depending on what's going on. And since I'm out here, we might as well go to the mailbox and see what's there. Well, I'm thinking junk mail, because now most of my bills, all but one, is paid electronically. Well, the mailbox would appear empty. So that's a good thing. No news is good news. Yeah. You know, the focus is still down, but I haven't given up, and that's another thing I've been doing. I've been spending an inordinate amount of time looking in to every possible solution to get the focus back up and running. And I've been trying them. Yeah. And if you go look, they're just, oh my God. There are hundreds. I got one more to do before I finally decide to go ahead and give it back to Ford, which is going to be a lengthy process. It's not like I'm going to get a lot, but I got to do it between now and next year. That's what I decide. I think I might get, what, 4,000? Well, considering I only paid $5,800 and I've had it for 4 years, it's been a fine car up to here recently. You know, it did have some issues 2 years ago, but we got through them. You know, I can't complain. Now, if I'd paid $22,000, oh, I'd be screaming. But I didn't. Well, I'm just thankful Blackie's running. If I have to, the pewter over there, the short bed step side, will run. She's a little rugged, but she will run. And I got to looking at my last walkabout, and I didn't realize I didn't show you the south side garden bed, though it ain't much. It has looked better. You know, like this one little bean plant. It's still making beans, but there's not much left. And then this celebrity plant. It's got tomatoes on it. I think when I counted them earlier today watering, it had 11. They're not huge. They're about the size of tennis balls. And that. Now, I picked a few. I've enjoyed them. Still getting some blossoms up there. And still forming new tomatoes. And even though she looks a little rugged, I'm thinking it may produce all the way to frost. And when that's a certainty, I'll come out and pick whatever green tomatoes. I'll take them on inside. But on the other hand, the sweet green peas, like I say, especially in this south side garden bed, under the constant blazing sun and temperature, they have really struggled. They're a cool season crop. You know, they like 70 or below. They don't want 85 to 90. No, and they're not very drought tolerant. They're still alive, somewhat. And then where I planted the collards, which is also a cool season crop, in hopes of nice big collard plants, Have me some ham hocks and greens. Ooh yeah. Whether I used ham hocks or bacon, I had high hopes. But pretty much with the heat and the drought, we've just kept them alive. The peppers, they're ragged and tattered, but the banana pepper, it's still got peppers. And the little lunch box has just got tons of them. Look at there. More blossoms coming. All kinds of smaller undeveloped peppers. Yeah, and I know they're only a bite or two. Boy, they are tasty. So, I don't know how that's all going to work out. You know, if I was dependent on what I planted, and I had every intention of clearing a little bit more ground while I had it cleared. I was going to give it a quick till, and I was going to plant more collards, more mustard, more kale, more celery, and have me a winter greens garden. But as the droughts persist, it got back to, is it all worth the effort? Based on what I'd normally eat in the course of a season, I'm a practical man, and the answer to that was no. I mean, the most significant cost is fertilizer and the high cost of water. So speaking, you want to head up on the front porch and close this one down for today? I think we've said about all we need to say. Now with that, we got more videos coming. Yeah, I'm finally feeling good enough to start doing them more frequently. Now, they ain't gonna be every day, trust me that. Little bit, I'll be in a sec. You can probably see her staring out the window. She's waiting. Oh my. So y'all, fall is one of my favorite times of year. I think it's the #1 favorite, spring being second. Winter and summer, I'll take winter in the south before I take summer. Summers here now are brutal. Nobody can doubt that. However you feel about climate change and whatever, they are brutal. Not that they always haven't been, but it seems like they're more so these days, at least in my memory. And my memory's not all that good. My short-term memory's pretty much gone. Yeah. You know, they say if you smoke marijuana and did all those things, it'd wreck your short-term memory. Well, I didn't do all those things, and mine ain't so good anyways. So there you go. Maybe I should have partook more back in my youth. Seems the outcome is all the same. Anyway, I hope this video finds you, wherever you are, well and safe with your friends and family. If you would, tell us what the situation is, what you're trying to grow or not grow in your part of the world. Maybe what prices are like, what you're seeing on your store shelves, heating bills and electric, because that's where we're going to be going with several videos to come. Yep, I got to do some shopping, and I might as well, because I know I can't get away from it, because you all ambush me and want to get in the buggy. Take you all along with me. But until we see you then, on the next upcoming video, y'all take care out there. Stay safe, and God bless you as you bless those in your lives. Goodbye for now. Spooky, are y'all tuckered out? Well, I can't say as I blame you. Yeah, Well, hey, you think you could do the editing on this video? And I don't want to hear about no thumbs. You don't need thumbs to do the keyboard, okay? Yeah. It's always the excuse. We got no thumbs, Papa. Well, let's head her on in and get to work on this and get it to you. And we'll see you on the next one. Later, all.